I'm Deborah Karstens. Today we will be discussing establishing project schedules. Our objectives are to discuss the purpose of network diagrams and to create an activity on the arrow diagram. Network diagrams provide information on how long an activity takes and the order in which activities need to be accomplished. There are different network diagrams types such as activity on the arrow, activity in the box, and the difference between these are in the symbols utilized, but both types provide the same information. The information provided is a visual graphic showing the flow of work to accomplish to include the specific order that tasks need to be accomplished. Let's look at an activity on the arrow table. The first column is an activity column. In this particular case, this project has from A through J of activities. The descriptions each have their own unique name, followed by a column which is called required predecessor, and the last column is the duration, how long each of these activities actually take. So when looking at this table in more depth, let's take, for example, the system analysis, activity number C. Systems analysis has a required predecessor, which is activity number A, which is system design. So what that means is that the system analysis task cannot be accomplished until the system design task is accomplished first. Let's look at activity number F for cost analysis. That also has a predecessor, which in this case is activity C. That means that the cost analysis cannot be performed until activity C, which is systems analysis, is performed first. Now let's look at activity G. Activity G is system testing. The predecessor for activity G is D, which means that the system prototype must be accomplished first. That must be developed first before any system testing can actually be accomplished. Now let's look at activity H for sales staff training. In this case, there are two predecessors, activity B and activity E. That means until the market research is completed and until the sales brochure is developed, the sales staff training cannot be conducted. Now here is a graphical picture of the activity on the arrow diagram. And by looking at this, you can see that there's actually 4 different paths that can take place. There's A, D, G, then J. Then there's A, C, F, and J. A, E, H, I, J, and B, H, I, J. So with each of those 4 different paths, that means that one of the paths that must be conducted consists of system design first, then system prototype, which is D, then G, which is system testing, and then J, which is the system report. And the same with the other 3 paths. Now the critical path is the path that takes the longest. So in looking at these 4 different paths, if we were to calculate the actual amount of months that it takes to perform each path, we would see that ADGJ is 13 months, ACFJ is 11 months, AEHIJ also 11 months, and BHIJ is 5 months. So the one with the longest path is ADGJ, 13. The critical path, what does that actually mean? If any activity along the critical path is delayed, the project will not be completed on schedule. There is not any flexibility within the critical path, and therefore delays cannot occur without the result being a delay to the entire project. The non-critical path are activities that can be delayed by some amount of time while still having the project finish on time. Then there's slack time. This is the maximum amount of time that someone can delay an activity and still finish the project in the shortest possible time. In conclusion, this lecture talked about network diagrams and how network diagrams provide information on how long an activity takes, provides information on the order in which activities need to be accomplished, identifies the critical path, identifies the non-critical path, as well as in identifying the slack time. This concludes this lecture. Thank you.